Thing is circling. Thing is circling. Thing is circling. And in just a second.
Cool.
In just a mere second, we will be live to YouTube.
It's live, hopefully.
It looks like we are now live. We're live.
We are now live. But there, not here.
It looks like we are
Yes,
live.
it's live.
We are
I
live.
see you all. Can you hear us? People of the internet, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? You should be able to hear me.
You should be able to hear us now talking. It's funny that we posted the
Finally,
event
sup
earlier
all,
today.
party time. Sweet, found it. We are live. Wall. Nice. You haven't responded if you can hear me.
There are already 26 people watching. 42 people watching.
We found you. You are very live. We did it, guys. Yeah, man. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's what's happening.
Someone
You
said
did
hi to
find
Tabby.
us.
Hi, Tabby.
Tabby.
Yes. It's alive. I see you. Sounds all good. Perfect.
Great.
Someone said sound is good instead of just yes.
Cool.
Where'd
this
you
is gonna
go?
be a little. This is just gonna be a little chatter for 2 minutes as we just make sure.
Flinty Minty 3 is my hero.
Sick. A couple things, guys. While we get set up here, Alex and I are excited to talk to you today, obviously, about some of the crazy stuff that's happened with the bannings and unbannings this last week. We want to kind of let this thing percolate for about 2 minutes, let some people jump into the chat before we get into the real subject matter of the show. We haven't done a live stream like this in a while. A few things have changed. There's a couple crazy different things. One of them is STONEFORGE MYSTIC is now legal. The other one is hype
train.
Hoogak's
band.
I was so hyped that I even created like an Instagram image with a picture of STONEFORGE MYSTIC and I wrote hype on it, and I posted it earlier.
Wow,
Yeah,
you used the photo editing tool.
I am so
Was it
old.
the Instagram photo editing tool, or did you like get old school and bring in the MS Paint?
It was an Instagram tool. I'm so old, it's like unbelievable how bad I am at these things. I was just like trying to do it like while I was on the bike today at the gym, and I was just like sweating like because I was so bad at it, not because of the gym. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about was actually that we introduced one of the cool things that YouTube now does called Super Chat. This is the first time we have ever done a stream that you and I are doing together since that's been a thing that you can do on YouTube. What Super Chat means.
Is Super Chat turned on?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe you can Super Chat. I mean, if somebody wants to test it and make sure.
Ooh, there's a little button.
Yeah. So I believe
Cool.
Super Chat means that at any point in time during the stream, because now we've got about 70 people in here, and I'm sure you guys are going to want to hear what we have to say and want to ask questions, so probably comments will get lost in the chat. We're going to do our best. One of the things
We're good.
One of the things you can do is you can Super Chat. That means that even an amount as low as $1 will have your little thing, your comment, show up, highlighted in color. We'll see it, then make sure we read it and share it on the air. That will be available as we are live for the next hour, talking about the bannings and unbannings and Vegas and all the cool things. So I think I'm going to suggest that Alex count us off here with the intro of the episode in about a minute. We're going to get into our proper episode.
In about a minute. So I have a minute to type that we're live,
Yes.
and that we're going to be burning pictures of Hoogak by Oakland Customs and Faithless Looting by Tappy Toe Claws.
If that's what you want to do, sir, that's what you want to do. Yeah.
If you heard that right, this episode is going to be lit.
Yeah, here we go.
I'm making that joke for at least the afternoon.
That's us. Oh, good. The frame looks good.
Faithless Looting by at Tappy Toe Claws. There we go. Look, tweet things, type things. We are live streaming podcast. You all spelled correctly with a thing. We will literally be burning pictures of Hoogak by Ink Customs and Faithless Looting by Tappy Toe Claws. RIP. Hashtag.
So this is the part of the show where you watch us title videos and share them on the internet.
That wasn't a title. That was a tweet.
It was a tweet.
Similar but different.
I see Tappy Toe Claws. She just posted the fire emoji 4 times.
Yes.
Very cool.
All right. So to show the people here, these are the two pieces. These are the paintings. These are drawn. This was drawn at Magic Fest Vegas during Tappy Toe Claws match game panel, and then Tappy, once we found out Faithless Looting was joining it on the fiery burn that will be the band bucket, drew us this nice Faithless Looting. That's adorable, and I don't want to actually burn it because he's a faithful looting. It's got a phoenix, and it says draw. I'm gonna read it this way. Draw 2 cards, then put 2 more exactly where you want them. Do it again. 2R seems fair. Tappy Toe Claws 2019. Gonna light on fire like the fiery phoenix that it brings back.
Okay,
Hoogak.
I just am testing something right now.
He's testing something. Is Super Chat working? Yeah, I got $1.99.
It is. It is
We got
working.
more fire emojis. Can everyone in the chat just give us fire emojis? That would be really appreciated.
Okay, so this is a huge day. This is a massive day in Modern. I'm going to let Alex count off the show, and then we're going to get into a full discussion about all the things. All the Vegases, and all the Stoneforges, and the Hoogaks, and the Faithless Looting sad face. Ready?
Dope.
Dope. Alex is scrolling through his emails. Let's see if I can share any of his personal information here.
Please don't do that.
Eyes open here.
Please don't.
Ooh, look at that. A PIN number, huh? Yeah.
Cool.
Great.
All right. So, I'll get ready to get started. Ready?
Let's do it.
Music. And welcome back to Masters of Modern. I am your host, Alex Kessler, with my co-host,
Ben Bateman, what's up, everybody? We're back. We're in studio. We're here. We're in Los Angeles. We did it. We made it back from the desert. It was a crazy, crazy fun Magic Fest Vegas, and holy smokes, has some stuff happened. I see fire emojis in the chat. I see super chats. We missed a super chat. And it wasn't even just mine.
Oh, it's from Dalton Brazier.
What's up, Dalton?
Hey, Ben, hotter than my wife, Bateman.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's really nice of you to say. Wait, are you the guy that wrote that comment? I posted like something on Twitter or Instagram at one point, and somebody's literal comment was a quote tweet that said, holy SH, you're hotter than my wife. And I thought it was the funniest thing I've ever seen, so I quote tweeted it and was like laughing. I wonder if it's you, Dalton. Unless it's just twice that joke's been made, because it's kind of
We're going to
emasculating.
burn the chat down. There's a lot of fire emojis. So for people that don't know, we're reacting to all those fire chats, because today is the episode that we talk about the recent bannings and unbannings.
Yes.
Everyone knew Hoogak was going on. In fact, we had this whole episode planned about talking about the trivia we did, and we might still do some of that trivia on the episode that we did at Magic Fest Vegas, and like recapping that. But then, surprising to everyone, Hoogak's dead.
No, we all know that.
But Faithless Looting is gone.
Yeah.
That wasn't expected, though. We'll talk about how someone expected it. And then Stoneforge Mystic was unbanned.
It's so many things happened in this last week, right? There was obviously big OP changes, and then we had Vegas, which is
Dalton
always...
Brazier was the person who did that tweet.
I love it.
All right.
I love it.
Yeah, continue.
And then obviously, we had the Magic Fest Vegas, which was so much fun, and then finally we're back, and there was 2 bannings and an unbanning. So I think to break those down, it is going to be like the majority of what the episode is today, and we'll make sure to get into that more. But that is the subject matter for today. I do want to get to a couple quick shout-outs before we get into all of it.
Sure.
First one is you guys can find the podcast on Twitter at the MMCast. Be sure to follow. It's really important. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're streaming this right now, click that little notification button.
There's like a little thumb with a 6 next to it right now. Make that 6 go up.
Yeah, actually, one thing that's really interesting is 100 people right now watching this live.
Hyped.
And we have a total of 6 likes. So if every single one of you, as well as fire emojis, can just click that thumbs up button, let's get those thumbs up to 100, because that's the best way for this video to get pushed up in the algorithm so people watch it. It's like really important. We would really appreciate that. So YouTube, that's important. That's a big thing. Twitter, where can they find you on Twitter?
I am at Kess Wiley. If you want hot takes and less hot takes, I'm there.
You guys can find me at Ben Bateman Media, and otherwise there's
Or
some
at the
cool
MMCast.
stuff.
Podcast. At the MMCast.
And be sure to check out the Command Zone, Game Nights. Josh and Jimmy do amazing stuff. That's our sister podcast and collective.company. We'll do the rest of the shout-outs later. I want to get into today's subject matter. How was Vegas for you this year?
We got 17 likes now.
Love it.
Vegas was amazing. It was probably, definitely top end weekends of life.
It was
really good. I had a really great time.
Momofuku was amazing. It's the first time I've ever had that duck.
It's the first time I've ever eaten dinner at Momofuku. I've had lunch there, so I just thought it was like a ramen place that was really good, but we have really good ramen places nearby.
Yeah, lots.
Oh, and so I was like, yeah, this is fine. But then we went there for like dinner, and that's like a whole different next level experience.
It was super fun. I had a great time hanging out with the community. It was a really, really nice sort of affirming weekend as far as just the positivity of the community. The internet can be such a toxic place sometimes, and you can end up with just dealing with so many people that are not that sweet. And the Magic community on the whole is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And I just felt like the people we dealt with and hung out with this weekend were all great.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting because we came off and then there was additional bad news about specifically Unnamed, because I don't want to blast his platform out into the world, but he's terrible and is doing well somewhere else, so we don't want that to happen. But we were talking a lot on the VIX, so much publicly can be net negative, because net negative news is so much easier to kind of spread. But the community is such a huge positive influence on my life and I think in the world that I think that side of the community needs to just blast it out more. So community, you're the best.
Yeah, you guys
I
are
blew
great.
out every mic in the room.
Though, like, also I think just, the cosplayer community, like Gavin Verhey, the Command Zone guys, Shivam, and I'm just naming names here, but, Vincent Kenobi, we got to hang out with so many fun people this weekend. I really had a great time. I loved this GP Vegas. This, I think, was my favorite, and I didn't even do well in the tournament at all.
I didn't even play in it. I just played in the Command Zone, which is also one of the better additions to a Magic Fest ever.
Really good.
Except for the bracelets. Get rid of those bracelets.
I also played in the Command Zone, I'll have you know. I played games of Commander.
He played 3 games of Commander and enjoyed himself.
I had a very good time.
He was unhappy about the fact that he had fun. It was it was a fascinating facial expression.
And then we went out to dinner and Alex tried to bait me into talking about it. He was like, he even enjoyed himself and he said it loudly in front of people, and I felt that I had to defend myself, but I decided to let it go. So
you've grown as a person. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, you just only feel happy because you won this one.
I don't want them all, and we'll get into the bannings in a second. But big also shout out today. We have a guest producer, Sam Lewis.
Yeah, what's up, Sam?
You want to come say hi? Are you plugged into everything? You're kind of plugged. Yeah, just come say hi.
All right.
Sam, he's on camera now.
Hi, everyone.
What's up?
Nothing much. Having a blast. Great to be here. Had a blast at Vegas as well, judging all 4 days. But yeah, it was a fantastic event. Magic community really made it special. So thank you all for being so great.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thanks for producing the show today. Marshall could not make it. This is we have 115 people watching right now, and this is the most people we've ever had in a live chat.
Sick. High five.
Yeah.
Live chatting it up.
Yeah.
Sam, if you have any hot takes that you want to just shout them out real loud so that the over here can hear them.
Faithless looting needs to come back. Unbanned faithless looting already.
Hot take. Sorry, we're going to light that take on fire a little bit later. Tappy says, it's Sam. He's my friend. Also, big shout out to Tappy Toe Claws.
Yeah,
we
awesome.
just spent the whole weekend hanging out.
What were some of your other...
And you guys, you and Olivia are the best.
Yeah, amazing. What were some of your other highlights from Vegas?
The trivia show was awesome.
Oh
we filled out the stadium. I highly recommend that we do it again so people can see it because we did not record it.
It was crazy. Casey Calhoun says all hail Jund. K-Command time. That is going to be a direct response to the fact that a K-Command does 2 damage to a Stoneforge Mystic and destroys a Batter Skull.
Yep.
So 1 for 1s there, 2 for 1. I was thinking about it, and it's like, kind of, except you're still paying 3 mana to deal with their 2 mana things.
Well, everyone's like, all these Stoneforge Mystic decks are going to be there, whatever. I'm just like, John's going to laugh evilly in the corner.
Yeah,
He's like, I have Ren in 6 now, and then I'm going to play this K-Command, and you're just going to be a sad panda.
Yeah, it's good, but I mean, just the fact that Stoneforge Mystic just gets you that card, you didn't lose anything by playing it. So
Corey Burkhart is currently petitioning to see how many K-Commands you can add above 4 into a deck.
Yeah.
Between Snapcaster Mages and Kesses and everything else that lets you rebuy those. So
I do love that card. So yeah, that was really fun. The trivia show was amazing. So some of you guys who listen to the show know that I do this thing called the Movie Trivia Schmodown. It's like this wrestling flavor sort of thing meets movie trivia, and it's become very popular. It's a big show. I travel around for it, and so we kind of had some of the same flavor from that. We injected into this a little bit, right? It was a little more like audience participation, but we had about 100 people watching, and as we got into the final round, because you guys didn't get to watch it, unfortunately you won't get to, it was really close. So who did we have on the show? We had Tappy and Olivia. That was one team. They were called Team Sister Feisters.
Yes.
So I kept saying it wrong.
We had Shivan Bott and Phil DeLuca from the Commander and podcast.
I think they were called Team Trivia.
Teferi's Trivia Twisters.
Yeah,
yes. Yeah. And then we had Gavin and Matt Tabak, best heel in Magic.
It was pretty great.
I kept wanting to say big and tall, like the suits.
Yeah.
They are. So, the entire time we were writing the questions, we were just like, how do we stump Wizards employees?
Yeah,
One
right.
of which was the manager of the rules for over a decade.
And so we just kind of assumed that was what was going to happen. And in the end, it was actually Team Trivia Twisters that took the whole thing down. But it was really fun. In the end, this is something we did. Schmodown doesn't do this. We felt it was kind of a magic-y thing to have, in the last round, the teams all draft their categories. So we had 10 categories on the board, and they one at a time were drafting where they wanted their questions to come from. And that was really interesting. You could hear Matt and Gavin talking. They were like, oh yeah, maybe we should hate draft this one so they can't do this. I think that's better for us. I want to take that off the board. It was really interesting.
It literally came down to the last question.
And I think the final question was kind of I felt bad because The question that the Trivia Twisters won on was a softball compared to what Gavin and Matt had to answer.
Well, so they answered. So we'll ask them this. We'll ask the trivia, and then later we'll say the answers. But the first one, the first of those two final questions was which two cards only have a single printing in the history of Magic. So there's only one card ever printed of them, and they're official cards.
Right.
And then the other was which monocolor does not have a monocolor angel.
Right.
So for instance, mono white has a lot of angels. What color of the other four doesn't have any?
Right.
And then so that was the softball according to Ben.
I mean, it's all like, again, guys, after having played 35 matches in the Schmodown or something like this and done this in front of 1,000 people, I can tell you, it's all subjective. You will always be upset if you lose, and you'll always find a reason to be annoyed for losing.
But between the two, the guy in the audience and Gavin and Matt got their question right, the harder one.
Yes.
And the guy in the audience and Michael Grothy, who is, I guess, other co-host of this podcast, got the angel question wrong. So
I mean, it was fascinating some of the stuff people got right and wrong. So Alex and I are actually working right now to come up with sort of a concept to do this again. We want to do this again so you guys can see it, we can film it. But on the whole, so big.
New questions. That'll be a beautiful Buddhist sand painting that has now been destroyed into time. But we have all the trivia, so we might ask it on the cast. We might do an episode next week. If there wasn't unbannings, we would have probably done it this week. Next week, we'll read more questions and have you guys have fun with it.
So it was just a massive thank you to Channel Fireball for inviting us to having us become a part of this thing and to give us a chance to host this show. It was so cool. It was such like a welcoming experience to be a part of that community in that way. And yeah, I thought it was amazing. So
Tempest of Thought has asked, do you guys think there could be a blue-white deck for Stoneforge? Can you see blue-white control transitioning and be more of a blue-white mid-range? An entire section of this episode will be us discussing that very thing. The chances that there's not a blue-white Stoneforge Mystic deck is actually 0.
Yeah, that's I think probably
maybe a -10. I think it exists already. People have already top 5'd.
We'll start with blue-white. It was Tempest of Thought.
Tempest of Thought.
That's a $5 super chat if I can see correctly.
Yes, that's why I read that one specifically out loud.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So Tempest of Thought, that'll be probably where we start with that. The one thing I want to talk about really quickly before we jump into that episode. So I played the main event, didn't do very well. We, played a bunch of Magic. Well, the one thing we did get to do twice, though, and we started doing this at like all of the GPs, it feels like, is we did a couple Chaos Drafts. And they're not Chaos Drafts where we do it through CFB. We do it ourselves. We go buy all the packs and we kind of curate what we want. The first one, really fun. Some of the stuff that we always do with like Fallen Empires and Homelands and old sets.
I'm a big fan of the Ice Age or double Fallen Empires or double Homelands packs because none of the cards read like Magic cards, and they're like a brick long, and by the end of each one you're either going to get with a card that's like medium at best or like doesn't do anything. It's like if a blue enchantment is activated, then you can make it a white enchantment.
I think like
let's be old Gerard, whatever it is.
I think there was like a total like underrated bomb, and it was called like so I can't remember what the card does or is called, but it's a green creature where for like green 1, tap, I think it's discard a card, all of your lands become like 1/1 creatures till end of turn.
Oh, sure.
Like
Yeah, I passed that. I picked out of that same deck. That's Fallen Empires. Fallen Empires is actually way more playable and limited. I got a green tapper. It was just green 1, tap.
I was like very impressed with that power level of that card. I remember beating Ruben Bressler with it, and he was like, "What? That card is what?" But anyways, we did 2 of those. The second one was especially cool because we were like, okay, so every single set that has ever had the word flashback printed on a card, I want every one of those packs, and I want every one of the gold sets. And so we ended up with 12 graveyard sets. So we ended up with Odyssey, Torment, Judgment, a pack of Time Spiral, a pack of Future Sight. We ended up with a pack of Innistrad, a pack of Dark Ascension. We ended up with a pack of Amonkhet because of the Eternalize and Aftermath spells. We ended up with whatever the other times all the Master sets. So like Eternal Masters did it, Modern Masters 3 did it, literally 12 sets that had flashback in them. And then the other ones were like Invasion, Planeshift, Apocalypse, all 3 Alara sets, all 3 of the original Ravnica sets, Return to Ravnica, Allegiance. And that was kind of how it worked out for the second one. That was a little more expensive, but it was so fun. They were both great. It's always more fun to buy the packs, draft it, and play the first round than it is to like get past the first round. Sure. Right?
I always draft and play one round and then
drop.
And then go do something else.
Unless you win.
Yes. Well, that's not true.
Shade.
Whoa. Yeah, I mean, Masters of Honor podcast, we do chaos drafts and and trivia.
And Michael won the Chaos Draft too, because he's a legitimately really good
Because he's better than all of us in Magic together. Beyond that, I mean, like, played a bunch of not Brawl. Oathbreaker. I will probably do videos later about Oathbreaker as a format. Format's dope. I don't know if I can make unpowered versions of decks for that format, though. With people.
It's always the best part.
Yeah.
It's like so much fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was our GP Vegas experience. Or Magic
this
Fest
is the
Vegas.
this is the first Magic Fest Vegas I've been to since Kessler was printed, because I didn't go to the one that year.
So
this is the first time I like had one specific card that multiple people brought up to me to sign, which was really cool.
Right.
And actually now, like, I have a whole thing. There's this becomes Kesh Drop Top Mage. I make all the vials into drop top balls. Sign right here. It's cool. All right. So, do you want to talk about? So that's Magic. Anything else about Vegas?
Yes, I think that is probably enough of us talking about Magic Fest Vegas.
All right.
I feel like now we can probably get into the conversation that everybody wants to hear about. A couple quick shout outs before we get into that. We have a Patreon. It's really, 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 really imperative that if you guys want to support the show, it is one of the absolute best things you can do. Patreon.com/TheMMcast. If you go there, you donate, there's a Discord that we are in. I've used it a few times. I'm very bad at Discord because I'm very old, but I should use it more often. And Alex and I both are very, very close to starting to stream soon, so some of those streams will probably be exclusively available to start with on the Patreon. But that's a big push for us, is to kind of develop that Patreon.
And on that, if you are a Patreon member over a certain level, you get access to exclusive rooms in the Discord. And in general, you guys should all just join our Discord. It's looking at it right now. It's /TheMMcast. You should, I don't know if / is how Discord works. It's the Masters of Modern Discord. You can find it somewhere, however you find Discords. And yeah, and you'll get every video we post, except for maybe this live stream one, because the live stream will be available online. There is like a unedited version of the video that has none of the ramblings. Sometimes we go real deep dives on cards that aren't good, especially when we do set reviews. I think we spent like 10 minutes talking about the Arlencord Planeswalker in Modern, which is just obviously never going to be a thing. That wasn't in the actual episode, but if you go to the Patreon, you can, and you're a Patreon member, you can listen to those fully unedited.
Are you talking about Dovinbon when we got into that whole conversation?
Maybe that was Dovinbon. Oh no, Arlencord. We did Arlencord.
Oh, there was the one where we got into like a legitimate argument about a blue-white planeswalker, and we spent 20 minutes on it. Marshall was like, "This is never making it to the episode. This will never see the light of day." We just got a $10 super chat from Dr. Pure One 1752. It's a $10 super chat. So generous. Thank you so much.
And the question is, could blue-white fairies with Stoneforge Mystic to get Sword of Feast and Famine be a good idea to invest in? I'm looking for a 1 to 10 on it being a good idea.
Okay, so that's interesting. I like blue-white. What I don't like about that is that you're playing a 2-mana sorcery speed card in a deck that primarily really wants to be instant speed.
I disagree with you, because the whole thing with Stoneforge Mystic is that you can use the ability at instant speed. So in reality, what it is, it's your 5th through 8th Bitter Blossom. Because you, on turn 2 in Fairies, you're trying to play a 2-drop, right? Like, I'm pretty much at sorcery speed most of the time.
Sure.
And so then once that's in play, you then don't want to untap. And what Feast and Famine is so good at is it lets you flash in at the end of your turn, equip it to a spell starter sprite, and then from that point on, you can spend your mana on your turn, attack, untap all your lands, and get it back. Or just have a Batterskull in play, right?
Well, so I think my thought with that is like, all right, back in the old Cobblade days, you were playing a straight blue-white control deck, and that deck then had Stoneforge Mystic and it had these Squadron Hawks, right? And you would get the Squad Hawks, and you'd play them and suit them up. The Fairies deck really is a tempo deck. It's not really as much of a control deck. Like, if it has a Blossom on turn 2, that's great. It's not looking to tap out on turn 2 of the game most of the time. If it doesn't have Bitter Blossom, it doesn't want to do that. And I don't know if the game plan.
I think Stoneforge Mystic is as powerful as Bitter Blossom.
Yeah.
Like, that's like the point is, it only does that when it has Bitter Blossom, but that's because every other card in the deck is at instant speed and or not good on turn 2, because that's why you're not playing it.
Yeah, but don't you feel like playing a non-fairy card in a deck where like Spellstarter Sprite's there and having now 8 sorcery speed 2-drops in the deck slows you down, where if you like don't hit your 4th land drop, you're kind of stuck with these gummy 2-drops in hand?
So back up for a second. I would say I would give investing in fairies a rating of a 5. You wanted a 1 through 10 rating, because I actually just don't think that deck is as good as other things you can be doing for that same effort. And with Stoneforge Mystic, I do love fairies, and I wish it was better. And a blue-white version of it is also sacrificing Bitter Blossom, which is the only reason to play it. So you'd either want to be Esper or blue-black, or white-black, which seems weird.
Like fairies? I mean, you just lose all the... I mean, like, one of the absolute main reasons you play fairies as a deck, period, in Modern, is that Spellstutter Sprite is a really good card. And you want to have a payoff to play a counterspell that also gives you a clock. Like there's a very, very, very short list of things that allow you to do that efficiently counter a spell and also be left with something that's a threat.
Sure.
Which is why in the old days, like Mystic Snake was good. Like if you can effectively be getting a flying Mystic Snake or the equivalent for less mana, like you're okay. And that's where I think it's a cool idea. It's a cool idea. The power level of Modern right now, I don't think I would call it more than a 5.
I would say it depends also what you own already, right? If you already own the Stoneforge Mystics, the rest of Fairies isn't expensive. So, like, if you have Stoneforge Mystics and you're just like, what do I do with these? What's a cheap deck that I can just put these into that's going to be dope? I think Fairies with Stoneforge Mystic as like an Esper Shell could be pretty dope. I don't think you're going to win a GP, but I think you could win it.
Have suggestions in the chat, things you want to hear about, be sure to post them. We'll try to pay the best attention we can. Like I said, it'll be easier to make sure we see them if they're super chatted, but we will just try to read through as many as we can when we get to the Q&A section. Let's start with just the bannings period. I think we all just assumed Hoogak was happening. Like, I don't think there's that much we need to say about
Before
it.
we jump into it, I do want to, because we advertised at the pre-thing that we're going to light stuff on fire in this episode, but we should tell people that are listening to the podcast or have now jumped into the chat that that's what's happening. We got 2 pieces of artwork. One was during Tabby Toe Claus's match game panel in Vegas. It was done by, I'm now forgetting everything because my phone had all my memory things. Jessica at Inkling Customs. It's this, I'm holding it upside down. It is this beauty pageant Hoogak that we said that we would burn if it got banned. It was kind of well known. So we're now going to burn it and light it on fire. But then we realized...
Also, just like, this should be a good indicator. My mom was an artist, so I kind of recognize this. This was done in about 38 seconds. That's when you know somebody is really good. They can literally just like picture in their mind what something looks like and actually legibly draw something that you're like, that's like pretty good. That's pretty cool looking.
Yes, but the question is like, this year's beauty pageant was won by which Magic character? And like, in the amount of time it took everyone 15 seconds to like write their answer, she drew this Hoogak beauty princess. And it has a crown and everything. So we're going to light that on fire because it got banned. And then, unknown to everyone, surprising the world, other than Nick Prince, who I owe $2 to, Faithless Looting was also banned, and so Tappy Toe Claws did us a favor and drew a proxy Faithless Looting that we'll also be lighting on fire. So be excited. That'll be at the end of the episode because it'll make this room so smoky that we won't be able to breathe anymore.
Why are we lighting these on fire? Because it's the MMcast.
Right, and so they're going to go into the banned bucket.
Which is this bucket here.
It says banned bucket.
Banned bucket. Handwritten with love.
Filled with water so that we don't light the building on fire.
So, all right, so let's start with Hoogak. Let's just like briefly for 1 minute, just sound off. Any thoughts on the banning of Hoogak that hasn't already been said?
Well, the whole world saw it coming to the extent that we didn't plan on talking too much about the ban announcement this morning because we've spent the last 4 episodes of this podcast talking about what the format looks like when Hoogak goes away, right? Because it was kind of like, they're not going to emergency ban it, so they're going to wait for 2 weeks, which means that like 3 modern GPs are going to happen with Hoogak in the format, and we're just going to have to deal with that format. But modern, like just past Hoogak, is super exciting. You have Urza decks running around, Ren 6 is doing the format on its, put mid-range back in the limelight. Jun's a deck. Kess is now Grixis with other things, which is great.
Rank these for me in terms of just like unbeatable power level. Hoogak, previous Hoogak with Bridge. Eldrazi, Blue-Red Delver with Treasure Cruise, Birthing Pod, and is that all of the like...
Splinter Twins, Mr. Splinter Twin. That's the one everyone wants to know about. It loses this contest, by the way, but continue.
Yeah, Twins like way worse. Like,
so people, I forget which pros did it, and hopefully someone in the world can either find a link or tweet it at us, but Hoogak loses to Eldrazi. Eldrazi with Ayabugan is just better than everything else we've talked about.
That's what I figured.
And then the other decks you mentioned are all worse than Eldrazi, and I believe that the only one that might be close is the Delve, the Delve World. I think is comparable to Hoogak. Like it is like a 55.
Sure. Okay.
Close enough that it wasn't really comparable. And then every other card on the ban list that like was banned and was a bad guy at one point was just worse than what Hoogak was doing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Personally, I think Bridge Hoogak is worse than Bridgeless Hoogak.
Really?
Yeah, I think like it's kind of the whole like Death Shadow before not Faithless Looting.
Before Get Pro.
When Get Pro was around, Death Shadow was kind of like a gimmick deck, was about giving it double strike and like trying to pump that out, and then Faithless Looting got banned and it just became the best mid-range threat in the format because people realized that Thoughtseize is a good card and they should have been playing it the whole time.
Makes sense.
I think it was a similar situation where people were playing those 2 decks. Now, my general understanding for people who have tested it, Hoogak without Bridge loses though to Hoogak with Bridge. It is a worse deck against all the other decks, but it is in the mirror a better deck.
Okay, so those are our Hoogak
People have
thoughts.
tested that aren't me, that are better at Magic. Shout out to Nick Prince for also calling that one out to the world.
Third host of
the
the
same
show,
argument that we'll get to when we talk about Faithless Looting.
Third host of the show, Michael Grothy, has just walked in. He's in the room. He's looking at us.
Come say hi.
Yeah, come
He
say
didn't
hi.
know. He didn't know he was going to put on. He's got great red pants on.
He does. What do you think, Mike? Of those decks, what do you think is the most unbeatable?
I don't think I heard the beginning. Of this. What, 3 decks?
Of all of the big bads in modern history, so
But, like, unbeatable decks
Eldrazi,
they call
Splinter
bad.
Twin, all the winters and summers and springs and falls. I think there's one per season.
Is it just Eldrazi or is
What's
it...
the worst ever?
I think Eldrazi is probably the strongest.
Yeah, I mean, it had multiple
So I heard
soul
Alex
lines.
saying that he thinks Eldrazi is on top, and then Hoogak is right under that. I think I agree with that.
Yeah, the only one that I was questioning was the Delver with Treasure Cruise. Like the Treasure Cruise
Yeah, I mean,
decks are
Treasure
harder.
Cruise is a powerful enough card that I think there could be a shell tuned to beat Eldrazi and Hoogak. I think as the deck existed in Modern, it probably wouldn't be good enough because they just have such big creatures, and Red's answers are not that great to ridiculously large Eldrazi and ridiculously large Hoogaks that come out super early. So the version of Delver that was just playing Treasure Cruise and then a bunch of bolts and
Young
card
Pyro,
selection
all that
and Young
stuff.
Pyro. Yeah, I think that's not super well suited to beating big tramplers. But it's also possible that with Magmatic Sinkhole and maybe some other stuff, that deck would stand much more of a chance. I don't know. And Grave Hate, ley lines in the board.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hard to say since it never existed in the same metagame. But
Yeah, right.
In terms of just pure...
I think raw
unbeatable?
power level, I'd put Eldrazi first. Oh yeah.
Repping the shirt. Manifesto.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to be on the podcast, but here I am.
Are you excited to play any specific deck in Modern now that Stoneforge Mystic is legal? Is there a deck that you have in mind that you want to play? It's not Teamer, so.
Yep, I'm probably gonna play a Teamer deck. No, I mean, I think that Faithless Looting and Hoogak being banned opens up the door for a lot of fair decks because you don't have to compete with these hyper fast starts where they're just doing something totally broken and you have to be doing something broken or you're just gonna get run over, or you're hard blue-white control. I think the door's open for a lot more mid-range decks where you have interaction, but you don't your whole deck is an interaction, right? Like a mid-range deck.
Right.
So I'm excited to play some sort of Teamer mid-range. I might go back to Eternal Command, which is a deck I always enjoy, or something similar. I don't know. I have to think about it. I opened a Ren and 6 of the GP. I'm looking to play it.
I opened up a bunch of hot garbage. So we have a chunk of time left to talk cards and burn things. So we should get into the rest of the discussion.
Yeah, so I guess the thing I want to touch upon with each of the cards, especially the ones that are banned, are kind of going over some of the decks that are now dead. Big
Bye, Michael.
bunny ears. Bye, Michael. Bunny ears about if they're actually dead, or what you can do to kind of let them survive, right? I think that's
Phoenix,
a lot of what people are
Dredge.
talking about. So with Hoogak, I mean, obviously there's really only 2 answers. One is Dredge. Dredge isn't going anywhere. Both with Faithless Looting and Hoogak going away from the deck. Hoogak was just there for a hot second. It was already one of the better decks in the format before that. And there's just so many different ways they'll play. I've seen people playing Thought Scour. That's the one blue mill yourself 5 in the
Tome Scour.
Tome Scour, and it's just overperforming for them is what kind of the reports on the internet so far.
I think Dredge is the one that makes a lot of sense that it would survive just because the velocity of the Dredge mechanic being the deck anyway. As soon as it gets going, it's just turned on.
Yeah.
I think the harder one for us to talk about is Phoenix.
We'll get there in a second. We haven't talked about Faith. There's another Hoogak deck. There's 2 Hoogak decks.
Okay, sure.
Next is Dredgevine.
Okay,
You're
got
jumping
it.
ahead. There's 2 decks with
ahead.
Hoogak in it.
Go
One
ahead.
of them is Dredgevine.
Okay.
We haven't talked about that one.
Got it.
Vengevine needs to have his moment.
Okay.
It's going to survive. I think Stitcher Supplier is the reason that deck came back. Hoogak obviously put it to a level that's so much farther ahead, and I don't know if it'll be a tier 1 deck like obviously it was with Hoogak, but getting Stitcher Supplier and Carrion Feeder
Yes.
are just such big pieces of why that deck was powerful. I think people are going to sleep on it, and especially if a bunch of people go to the next tournament being like, oh no, I need Artifact Hate for Urza, and Stoneforge Mystic getting Batter Skulls, and they cut down on their Graveyard Hate. Decks like Dredge and Vengevine are both decks that I'd actually be looking to play. I think both of them have a chance of just still being really good. I don't know what replaces necessarily Hogath and Faithless Looting, but to be totally honest, in the Vengevine decks, You could play Hedging Crab. You can you want creatures. Like one of the issues with Faithless Looting was always like, this is a spell. One of the reasons I was so high on Phoenix when it was printed was that the best way to mill stuff in Dredgevine was a spell, and Dredgevine wants creatures to do it. So why it didn't match up, and then Phoenix gets printed, and that worked with it. So
I
that
guess
was great.
Neonate, right? That's a pretty good card.
Yeah, Neonate is a card they could be playing. They all kind of work with the game plan. So like they just want 1-drop creatures that let cards get into their graveyard, and they have a bunch. And Citrus Supplier and Carrion Feed are really the things that overpower Dredgevine, with Hoogak just being this unstoppable threat. So with that gone, I think the deck is still good. It's just not as problematic.
Yeah. I mean,
we're just into the next chapter. So are we ready to talk about Phoenix?
Well, I think we're ready to talk about Faithless Looting.
Faithless Looting. Okay, gotcha.
So I didn't see Faithless Looting being banned here. I thought it literally in the last announcement, and obviously the last announcement they said Hoogak wasn't bad enough, and we just need to bid below because it's a Pokemon card. They banned Faithless Looting. They said we don't want to ban cards that are the butter that holds a bunch of decks together.
what butter holds anything together?
I don't know.
You
I'm
mean
tired.
the glue?
The glue. Thank you. Butter holds toast together.
Hey, we need to put these posters on the wall. Do you have some butter? Yes, I do.
You don't butter your walls when you put a poster up? Just put wallpaper up. My wife put wallpaper up while we were in Vegas, so I came back and there's a big wallpaper thing, and she used butter.
Yeah. Okay, that's where it came from.
It's not.
By the way, guys, just as another shout out, we have 66 likes right now and 193 watching. If you're watching this show and you want this show to keep growing and keep being awesome, just click the thumbs up button. Let's try to get that thumbs up to the equal number of people watching. It is so important for this video to be watched and out there and have the channel keep growing. But let's talk about this.
If you want more metaphors like buttering your toast to stick things to the wall.
The butter that holds it together.
The butter that holds it together. So, this was a card that, held a lot of pieces together, and Wizards said, we don't want to get rid of them. There's other cards that are possibly, as problematic. The one that comes to mind the most, and I'm forgetting again because it's not Serum Visions, it is
Preordained Ponder, Gitaxian Probe.
none of those. Green. It's green.
Ancient Stirrings.
Ancient Stirrings, thank you. Ancient Stirrings. I think that's the card everyone when they're frustrated by this card being banned is the one that they're pointing at being that has been just as problematic. It just at the exact moment that this happened, it wasn't. And even right before Modern Masters was printed, or not Modern Masters, Modern Horizons was printed. Show everyone on the live stream. Me and Nick Prince both happened to have $2 bills and disagreed about what will happen to Phoenix and if Phoenix was going to be too good in the format. So he said a card in the next year will be banned. And I said there wouldn't be a card out of Phoenix banned for the next year. I then wrote on the $2 bill that Phoenix was too good and then posted it on the internet, and within 12 hours, it got banned. So Nick, this is yours. I don't know how I'm going to get it to you. You live in LA though, so we'll figure that out at some point.
So let's talk quickly about the question people are asking about the Faithless Looting decks and what replaces it. I saw you tweeted the other day from the account
8 different cards that kind of fill that spot as possibilities.
And there were 2 additional ones that kind of didn't think about, and people have now told me about. So there's 8 cards, and I'm hoping that I can get my photo app to remember what they are.
I can remember some of them
because my phone is
offhand.
currently the microphone for this podcast.
Lightning Axe was one of the ones that you posted. Cathartic Reunion was another one of the cards that you had posted. Those are 2 that I remember offhand.
Oh, so okay, yeah. So I'll just.
I'll pull it here. I can pull it off the thing.
Is the mic still working? It is. Cool. So okay, you're pulling it up. You're going to Twitter. Yep. So talking about it, the card that they added that I'm actually now most excited about, and probably the 2, and we want to talk about Phoenix, is Jace Prodigy. I think that card is really good right now, partially because it is now one of the best looting features in the format, while also being able to pick up a sword if Stoneforge Mystic finds what to put on it, while also being a 0/2. And we are moving into a world where Ren and 6 is going to be one of the best cards in the format, and being a X1 is not a good look.
Yeah, I mean, it already was, I think, but now it's just going to get to shine even more. I mean, there's a whole subclass of decks that are going to get to shine through. I mean, we're going to do a couple minutes on each one here in a second. So a couple different things. You tweeted 6 cards. Cathartic Reunion, Lightning Axe, Discovery Dispersal, Ideas Unbound, Chart a Course, Collective Brutality, Maximize Velocity, Insolent Neonate, Izzet Charm, Radical Idea, Tormenting Voice, and Flame Jab. Now, I think the thing about these cards that jumps out to me is that
a lot of them are 2 mana.
Yeah, that's the thing is all we're doing is making Modern a little slower.
But so people have made this comment, especially with, because I guess we're talking about Phoenix now. That's really the main thing to talk about. At first, we talked about Dredge, at least.
Yeah, I think Dredge, because of the Dredge mechanic, will survive just fine. Phoenix is the one where you need to get them out of your hand efficiently, and that's what the question here is.
Well, and part of it is the format is slowing down, right? Like, with Phoenix, the pan ultimate turn was always turn 3, turn 4 anyways. So you have that turn 2 to be able to cast cards like Cathartic Reunion, or Discovery, or Chart the Course, or Ideas Unbound, which is a spicier one that is older. If you wanted to go to other colors, you have Collective Brutality, lets you get cards in your hand and remove a spell from their hand to be able to interact on the board. Kill a Stoneforge Mystic if they played it with the -2 effect. Not to mention Insolent Neon Knight. Izzet Charm is, obviously something that Phoenix was playing already as 2-ofs randomly. It would randomly cut them when better cards would show up. But these are all cards that I think are definitely versatile enough. And then on turn 3, you then did the work still. Like, Cathartic Reunion still does the work by the time you get to turn 3 to be able to go off and get your free Phoenixes.
Where's the logic on Flame Jab here?
Mostly that was more on the people commenting that one of the features of Faithless Looting was also that for 4 mana you get 2 spells off of it, right?
Oh, sure.
And one of the power levels of it was able to turn the excess lands in Phoenix that they don't really need into spells or threats.
Just getting that third spell to trigger Phoenixes was something you needed sometimes, or to trigger a thing in the ice or something like that.
Yeah, so there are multiple features of Faithless Looting, and that covers 2 of those pieces. Flame Dart also does that, like you can just play a third one of those in decks. Lava Dart.
Yeah, so I think to wrap up that thought here on Phoenix, I definitely agree with you that I think Phoenix survives. What I think ends up happening is that Phoenix is a little bit less of a tempo deck and a little more of a control deck at a turn slower. It just feels like probably if you're relying on something like an Izzet Charm, your big turn is going to be 1 turn behind most of the time. Mm-hmm. And in Modern, the difference of your big turn coming out at if your big turn is like in Christmas Land turn 2, but often in Phoenix your big turn is turn 3, now probably your big turn will be turn 4. More than likely.
Right.
And all that is just makes it a little more fair. It means that when you're up against Jund at that point, they'll be getting ready to resolve their 4th spell or their big 2-spell turn.
And that's kind of the other piece to it to me is that, yes, it's a turn slower, and it's turn 4 more than turn 3, sure. But if the world does become Stoneforge Mystic and Jund decks becoming much more powerful, the whole format is slower, right? Like, Stoneforge Mystic doesn't get a creature attacking until their turn 4 if you don't cast any spells. Phoenix is also very good against decks with counter magic because it's same as Vengevine, right? You don't care if they counter your spells as long as you can chain 3 spells in a turn.
One thing I will say about it, and this I think will be my final thought on this just because there's so much I want to talk about, we don't have that much time today, is I think that blue decks, when you start to get into that like turn 4 is your turn sort of a deal, they start to want to play more counter spells to control the game. And Phoenix does not want to play counter spells because then you're playing spells on their turn.
Except for Izzet Charm.
Right. I mean, that's the one, but in my experience, any blue-red deck that has ever played Izzet Charm, after about 3 months of gameplay, eventually just cuts it for better cards. It never actually lasts. And that's, I think, the one limitation of Phoenix trying to be more of a control deck than a tempo deck, is that it wants to be proactive, not reactive. And that's kind of where I see that. But I still think it'll be a good deck. I just don't think it'll be the best deck.
I don't think it's going to be the best deck in the format, but I think it's going to be tier 1.
Like low tier 1. I'll bet you Phoenix is
bet you mid tier 1.
How many decks are in tier 1?
10.
Okay, I think
I would say it's in the top 5 decks in the format.
When we say tier 0 in our old days, there's usually 3 to 4 decks in that conversation.
I would say it's in the top 5 cards in the format. 5 decks in the format.
Yeah, I think it's right outside of that for me. I'll bet you it's like the 5th best deck.
How much are we betting? I don't have other $2 bills. I have a $5 bill.
I don't make bets with you. But anyway, all right. So
I'll draw on it with this Sharpie that we have on the table.
So what I want to talk about now is, I think let's get into
what's Stream of Thought, because people keep bringing it up.
Stream of
Blue target player mills 4. You may shuffle up to 4 cards from your graveyard into your library. It has Replicate for 2 blue.
It's the new one with the really cool Seb McKinnon art.
Yep.
Yes, dope.
Yeah,
That's another card that people are talking about a lot for Phoenix decks, and that because that's the other thing is just milling yourself. Phoenixes might be worth the value that you need. I think that there's so many good options, and Phoenix is like good in the next metagame. Like the metagame we're going to be looking at moving forward, like if Stoneforge Mystic is a pill in the format, Phoenix is great. It goes right over it. They're already playing Ario Flame, so they don't care about life gain from their opponent. You have like Jund decks who are also not going to be good against Phoenixes. They make you discard cards. Like Liliana is bad against Phoenix. That's one of the reasons it's been bad for the last year.
You know, card I think is kind of sweet. I think this is a sideboard card modern anyway that I think people play in blue sideboards, but I like the idea of this in a Phoenix deck. I like the idea of the new Ashiok.
milling yourself 4 and exiling their graveyard,
Mm-hmm.
that seems like a pretty heavy value play if you're going to be a turn slower in that deck. I can't imagine really playing it in the main, but on the play, slamming that on turn 3 against some decks, it gums up their game plan so hard to not be able to crack their fetches against you. I could see that actually being kind of a smart way for that deck to gain its value as it gets into turns 4 and 5.
Sure. I think the biggest issue there is that it's not a spell and doesn't anything with
trigger
spells,
Phoenix.
really. Like, the one reason I do like Jace's Vryn Prodigy is it lets you discard your Phoenixes and then flips and lets you Snapcaster Mage a card without costing extra mana. So you can, anything that adds to your spell count once you get to turn 4 is something that I would be looking for.
And the one thing actually it does do really well is it doesn't get returned to your hand with Thing in the Ice, which I really like.
Sure.
That it's a permanent you can play that resolves that trigger. So anyway, let's talk about blue-white Stoneforge. That's the first question we got. We got it earlier in the show on a super chat, and I think it's a great place to start. Blue-white already was one of the pillar decks of the format, was already very powerful. The introduction, obviously, of Teferi Time Raveler, both Teferis, over the course of the last year, has completely changed the face of that deck.
Right.
Now that deck is getting the card that made blue-white an absolute terror in its standard day.
Well, one of two. It
Yeah.
just had the other one already.
Yeah. And now you can play Jace, both Teferis and Stoneforge Mystic. I mean, if you wanted to play Squadron Hawk, you could, but I don't think you will.
First off, I do. But I think Squadron Hawk's my favorite card of those 3 cards together from a, dumb Magic card perspective. Like, all the other 2 are just powerful. The problem with Stoneforge Mystic going into this format, or the difference between Stoneforge Mystic in Modern versus Stoneforge Mystic in Standard back in the day, is really the fact that, Assassin's Trophy, Abrupt Decay, and Kolaghan's Command exist. And Jund is one of the best decks in the format. There are a lot of efficient, main deckable, playable artifact removal spells. And, and those being available makes it easier to kind of fight against that deck. There's a reason that the swords have just kind of never been playable in Modern, and that is because even if you the best removal, or some of the best removal in the format, is artifact removal. Abrupt Decay for a long time was the most played card in the format. Now, and Assassin's Trophy is even better at fighting against Batter Skulls.
Yes, right.
Abrupt Decay can't hit a Batter Skull. It can't hit the Germ, and that puts them off. But so the format, I think, is just in a better position to be able to handle a threat like that. Don't get me wrong. I'm throwing Stoneforge Mystic in every deck I play from now on. I think I'm changing Jund to the Naya. I'm playing Blue-White Control.
Yeah.
I'm playing Jeskai. I have a pile of cards this high of different Stoneforge decks. I think it's going to be very powerful. We on Twitter, we were discussing the other day the fact that, because someone posted a picture of someone playing humans who just on Moto put 4 Stoneforge Mystics in their deck and then joined a queue without putting an equipment in their deck. Because they're just oh, it's good, go, and then they forgot the Batter Skull. So people are gonna try jamming it everywhere. I think it actually will be good in decks like humans. You just make sure to include your Batter Skulls, kids.
I think probably too, some of the decks that have been more reliant on spell synergy, take Mardu Pyromancer, for instance, or just Mardu decks in general. That was the first good Mardu deck we'd ever seen in Modern. I think you're just going to be able to play a Mardu good stuff deck now that's not so reliant on casting a million spells, because that deck's not good anymore now that we don't have Faithless Looting. You can just take some of the velocity out, replace it with your card advantage off your Stoneforge Mystic, and that deck is probably still good.
I mean, you cut Young Pyromancer, you put in
Stoneforge
Mystic, you cut Bedlam Reveler, and you put just a good value.
I don't know if
you
you
put
have
young,
to.
you put young. Because Bedlam Reveler does need spells, right? If you're cutting your spell count down, and that was the main 1-drop spell the deck was playing.
Yeah.
But you still have Mardu still has a bunch of real good cards.
Yeah, agreed.
And not having Faithless Looting was a cool engine that I got to take advantage of and was cute. But just putting Liliana the Veil in there and some other good cards, I think is just that deck is still going to be very powerful.
Well, all right, so I think we're all just sort of in agreement. There's a lot of ideas with blue-white. Blue-white will be a player, and it will just play Stoneforge because that's a good thing you can do. But
right.
A step beyond that.
Well, because I do want to comment, because people are arguing in the chat between Mind Sculptor versus Teferis and which one's better. And I think there's a blanket thought that Teferi has now outclassed Mind Sculptor. But if you actually look at 5.0 lists and how people are doing in the format, Jace didn't go away. I've even seen lists that are, not playing 5 mana Teferi, but playing 2 Jace, 4 3 mana Teferi, or 3 3 3, add some Narsets in there. There's a bunch of different combos, and the strength of Jace the Mind Sculptor, and the reason Cobblade could just come back with the birds, is The deck needed the birds because it basically was draw 4 cards for 2 mana, or draw 3 cards for 2 mana, right? You get a threat and you draw 3 cards. And then with Jace, you can shuffle those back into your deck, re-abusing that engine, and then Stoneforge Mystic allows you to make those creatures into threats. Those are pieces all now exist now. I think Cobblade, that version of the deck, will be a tier 2. It won't be kind of up there, but I definitely think it's playable. But I do think
you can achieve that card advantage like easier than doing that.
Right. I don't think Jace is any necessarily worse than the Teferis. I think it's like you have 4 Planeswalkers between the Teferis, Narset, and Jace, and you pick like 12 of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think, most of the lists I've seen over the last little while have played like 3 Mind Sculptor, 2 5-mana Teferi, and then some number 3 or higher of 3-mana Teferi, right? It's usually like 3/3/2, something like that. Mm-hmm. And then, like you said, the Narsets are just sort of dependent on who you're playing against. But
why is Stoneforge Mystic a non-bow with your Aether Vials? I think it's really Stoneforge Mystic is really good with Aether Vial. Yeah. I've done that in Legacy. It's fun. You get to do it at end of turn and untap, and then you get to flash in a Batterskull.
I mean, the power level of Stoneforge Mystic and Batterskull together, while we are talking about the fact that like you're going to be able to fight against that, it doesn't change the fact that even though you're going to be able to fight against that, it's still just going to be good in any deck that plays white. Like, you can just put that into a deck. Like, Humans doesn't need it to be a human. It just makes Humans better to have that card in its deck. Like, I guess the fact that, like, you're... No, because it has colorless in the cost, so even your unclaimed territories and your taverns don't care. They'll just cast it. It's fine. You just... I guess what are the 5 cards you cut from Humans, or 6 cards you got from Humans to make room for it and 2 equipment?
I don't think you need 2 equipment. I think you just play 1 Batterskull. I think you're fine.
You would play 4 Stoneforge, 1 Batterskull in that deck?
About it. I don't know.
That seems loose.
Humans isn't even the deck I would look first. I think it's passable. I think it's actually better in Spirits than Humans, partially because the strength of Stoneforge Mystic is it's a 2-drop that you never have to tap out on your turn again for, right? Like, you play it as a 2-drop, and then your next turn you hold your mana up, you have counter magic or whatever you want to do at instant speed, and then if they don't do a thing that you need to react to, you flash in Batterskull. And in Spirits, that's what you want to do in Spirits. You play it on turn 2, and then you hold up spell Quellers or other counter magic spells that let you interact, or Collected Companies, and then so now they're stuck having to deal with that, versus in Humans where it's kind of just a aggressive tap attack, but you want to get cards down as soon as possible, especially because most of your cards are proactive, right? You're naming cards from your opponent not with freebooters, you're stealing them, but Meddling Mage, you want to get kind of creatures in before they play things, and Stoneforge Mystic is normally the creature you want to do that and then start being reactive with. So Spirits seems like a more exciting home for it than Humans to me.
Yeah, and also, and we just literally were talking about Aether Vial, the reactive nature of being able to sort of flash one thing in and then flash in another thing in response to kind of that whole chain is really powerful.
And that's why, like, the Fairies conversation is a good one. I just think Spirits is the Fairies deck of Modern. I think if you're looking to play that gameplay mechanic, it's Spirits. Fairies just has more. Sadly, Fairies, until this fall, coming to you, Throne of Eldraine, Fairies has that one set that supported it ever, so it's like a standard format's worth of cards, versus I honestly tried counting once how many formats Spirits was a tribe that was playable, and it's more than you want to start trying to count.
So the best deck previously was Hoogak, and Phoenix was really good. Mm-hmm. One of the decks that was like lurking behind it was this Urza deck. Prison became Urza, and Urza obviously plays a combo that uses a piece of equipment.
Yep.
Sort of big.
Yep.
Which means that Urza decks can now just play Stoneforge Mystic in the deck. They can play 1 copy of Sword of the Meek if they want to, 1 copy of Batterskull, 4 Stoneforge Mystic, and now that deck goes even more turbo with something it can just do on turn 2 that's insane.
So the big question to me with that deck more than anything is, like, how does Stoneforge Mystic replace Goblin Engineer? Like, that's the thing that people are going to automatically assume it does, which it does, but then you lose...
We did call it Artifact Stoneforge Mystic.
But Goblin Engineer is one of the engines that lets it play as kind of a, like, tutor for your hate pieces deck.
Right.
And, like, the war half of the prison part of the deck, Goblin Engineer fits a little bit more into. And so does the deck change to be something a little bit different with the Stoneforge Mystic piece being it? Because you can't tutor for those hate cards, right? Or do you play both? Do you play, like, a 2-3 split or a 3-2 split or a 4-4 split? It's not a split, that's just 8 cards. But do you play kind of all of them and then you cut down on other pieces? And I have never played the Urza deck personally, so I can't attest to what that's going to end up. But I do think that even before Stoneforge Mystic being revealed to be being unbanned, and even before we even knew Faithless Looting was being unbanned, I expected Urza to be the best deck in the format. I thought it was going to be turn 0. I think it's probably the next deck to get a card banned out of it if I had to put money down.
Yeah, it's really powerful. I mean, I really like the idea of playing those two cards together, to be honest. I like Stoneforge Mystic and Engineer together because what happens when you've resolved your Batterskull with your Stoneforge Mystic, and they're looking at it, they're like, okay, this is the turn where he's left his shields down because he's tapped out or something, or he has 1 mana open. Now I'm going to blow up his Batterskull, and you have an Engineer in play, and you're like, yeah, when you target my Batterskull, I'm just going to activate my 1 red to sacrifice this Batterskull to get something else out of the graveyard because like these were such low opportunity cost cards, and they both net me some sort of value, and I've already set myself up because...
Yeah, I definitely think it's an upgrade to the deck. I just the question I have is where the deck ends up in the long run. It's going to be really fascinating to watch.
I think one of the things that is so fascinating about that and why I think it's going to be such a powerful addition is that there are games that will happen in Modern that are literally going to be won by a turn 2 Stoneforge Mystic on the play when your opponent just doesn't hit their land drops or stumbles, and the game ends really fast. And the fact that a deck as powerful as Urza now has the ability to do that on the play with nothing else. Like, it requires almost nothing to win with that, but the fact that half of your infinite combo is also attached to that card just makes me feel like that's the good early, good late conversation that like we always talk about.
Yeah. Oh no, Stoneforge Mystic is going to be nuts in the deck. I'm not arguing against that. It's more there's more considerations to just like slam 4 Stoneforge Mystic, replace Goblin Engineer, go right. It's like there's pieces and tools that the deck has to change around to kind of make that work, and it could change the deck. Like the deck could be more of just like a Stoneforge Mystic artifact control deck that plays Urza on top end to just win that way, or there could just be blue-white decks that do that have Urza in it instead of a prison deck, right? That's a little bit of the differentiation.
So we've got about 10 minutes left.
What is the episode recording at?
51 minutes.
51 minutes, cool.
So we got about 10 minutes left, a little less than, and we need to burn these things.
That's not going to take 10 minutes.
No. I was saying this will probably just take a couple minutes.
Right.
But like, what are the last 5 minutes worth? If you guys want to throw in the chat what you specifically want to hear about in the next 5-6 minutes, while we're waiting for your responses, one last thing I just need to ask you guys one more time because it matters so much. There's still 200 of you watching, and we still only have 100 and change likes on this video. So just hit that thumbs up button, guys. If we can get this thing up to like 200, that is the best thing that can ever happen for this video. I just keep asking because it's so easy to do. If you guys are still watching, just click that thumbs up.
I just added my thumbs up.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Like in your own content.
So, all right. So we talked about Urza. We talked a little bit about...
Well, so people want us to talk a little bit about Tron, because I do think that's going to be relevant
Yeah.
for it. We talked about two of the best decks being blue-white based control decks and Junt and both of those are...
You said to me earlier, like, you can just use Tron lands to cast a Batterskull, so why wouldn't you just throw 4 of those in the white Tron deck? That seems insane to me.
Green-white Tron already has been played. Josh Kim... at Zell Tweets, friend of the cast, had a green-white Tron deck that he was playing forever, and you get Path is kind of the main reason to do it over other colors, and like just getting a Batterskull off of Stoneforge Mystic and being able to, oh no, my Stoneforge Mystic died, I guess I have to play this with my Tron lands, and then also on turn 4, because you have to play white mana to tutor for it, you then can play it and then have 3 mana to save it if they try killing it. So you now have the unkillable Batterskull situation, which is like the part of the game where Batterskull becomes the most scary. Flashing in Batterskull on turn 5 is always the scariest moment because then you can return it to your hand just in case they try killing it. So that puts them in such a head position. I can see Tron just playing that. But the other thing I want to say, we talked about Tron being good. We talked about Jund being good. We talked about blue-white being good. I'm just saying that these are all decks that Arclight Phoenix has a good matchup against.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Attacking with 4 3/2 flyers that can't be killed is bad news bears for a lot of these guys, and so I'm excited to see what happens. I
see a super chat here that I think we should shout out.
What is the best version of Tron?
Says.
Sorry. Nick Clark.
Nick Clark, and it's a $2 super chat. Thank you, Nick Clark. We very much appreciate your support. Means the world to us. The best version of Tron, period?
I think it's mono green.
Still probably.
It could be white green. I don't know how good the Stoneforge Mist package also just might be not as good as just playing warm coil engines. like
what you're actually getting for all the hoops you're jumping through is that deck is jumping through hoops anyway to do other stuff that you're not going to change that game plan to accommodate Stoneforge. So it's just getting a Batterskull actually that good in that deck.
Like playing Karn and getting Microsoft. There's that deck's already going to be problematic.
Yeah, it's already just big.
before Modern Horizons happened, Neoform decks and Karn-based Tron decks were both really, really, really powerful.
I do wonder if Neoform's going to be a huge problem now. It was so good, like that seemed like an obvious, this has to get banned target, and then people shifted, and now I wonder if we're all going to be freaking out about Stoneforge, this like turn 3 4/4.
There's a lot of people.
Neoform is just you're dead by then.
I mean, the argument for a long time with Stoneforge Mystic coming off the ban list is just it's not that good compared to other stuff you're doing.
We've said it on here like 150 times.
I'm excited to play with it, and I think it'll be a great tool for the format in different places. But I don't know. Like Neoform exists, Tron exists. Like Tron is another deck that just eats literally with card activations, control decks, and Jund decks. Right, like. There's so many different ways to hate on a Batter Skull in the format and/or a sword that I think that like Stoneforge Mystic might just be another good role player. I guess the real question is Stoneforge Mystic, where would you rank it on our classic list of 5 2-drop cycle, right? Like where...
Like the power level, like compared to the others?
Like, so it's Snapcaster Mage, Tarmogoyf, Dark Confidant,
Young Pyro?
Young Pyromancer, Stoneforge Mystic, and like maybe Gold is Ren 6, I guess now.
Yeah. Wasn't there another red 2-drop that we decided was the red 2-drop?
It was Dreadhorn Arcanist. It's not that yet. Maybe one day, but it's not there.
Okay.
Those are the 5.
Where do I rank it in those 5? I mean, it feels like to me the most powerful of those 5 is Snapcaster Mage.
Yeah.
And it feels like number 2 on that list. Weird because it's almost been outclassed, but I would still say probably Confidant is number 2.
No, Dark Confidant's
Oh, really?
I think Red 6 made Dark Confidant unplayable.
Well, that's what I mean. But that's I'm saying.
I'm saying right now, not like in modern history. In modern history, Stoneforge Mystic is the worst because it's been banned the whole time.
when I said it's in a weird place, that's what I meant. Red 6 has kind of validated it. So if we're talking about right now in modern, it feels like right now with the bannings, graveyard decks are going to be a little less targeted. So Tarmogoyf gets better probably. Actually,
in fact, I would argue that Bob has been the worst for a while, even before Ren 6. But yes, I agree that Tarmogoyf is second.
And I also think that Faithless Looting being banned makes Pyro a lot worse. Mm-hmm. So probably that drops down, Bob drops down, which probably makes Stoneforge Mystic second or third.
Right, yeah. Is it better than Tarmogoyf is I think the real question. I think it is. I think Stoneforge Mystic is the second best on that list. I don't think Snapcaster Mage. I think Snapcaster Mage might be the best creature ever printed, period.
Do you know, did I tell you that pack I opened?
No.
I had a leftover pack of Modern Masters 17
Chaos
Draft that I opened at home the other day, and I pulled a Snapcaster Mage and a Foil Abrupt Decay out of the pack.
Nice.
I was stoked.
Yeah, that's pretty...
we had a couple super chats here I want to shout out.
Is Sunforge Mystic just a joke deck?
Sunforge Mystic?
It's Stoneforge Mystic with Sunforger.
Right.
I think it's really cool. I don't think it'll ever dominate the format. It might. It's cool. I want to see it win. I would like for Modern to be in a place where that is one of the better decks.
That is a $2 super chat that has been asked by Sunny Jack-O-Lantern. Maybe I'll look into it. Neo the Panda asked, "What were the answers to the quiz questions?" That's another $2 super chat.
So it's green is the only monocolor angel that doesn't exist. Michael guessed red and then immediately remembered that Avacyn was the set. Or not Avacyn.
And Illusory Angel's blue.
Shadows of Innistrad was a block, and then Illusory Angel is the blue one. That's the one that blue was who the audience member guessed, and then the commander and guys got green.
What was the other question? Sharafuku Dragon?
It's I'm never gonna say it right. Sure, Sharafuku Dragon.
Something like that.
Shikifu. It's there's a lot of letters. I'm not here for say cards named correctly regularly. And then World Champion 1990.
Oh yeah, 1997.
Yeah, 97. Yeah.
Yeah.
So those were the World Championships. 1997, I think 1998, there was a trophy, and inside the trophy was a card that literally was only printed as one copy, and those are the 2 cards. And they're famous for being the only cards to ever have one printing.
Yeah.
A lot of people guess it's so Richard Garfield, when he got married and had a kid, and maybe when he had his 3rd kid, or I think there's a 3rd one of these, printed a one print sheet or a couple print sheets of a card that was a gift saying and the effect are you can shuffle your deck and someone else's deck and then play from it together, and that was the marriage one.
Right.
And then there was a play on that mechanic for him having a kid.
Yeah.
So people think it might be those, but
That's
the
what
World
I thought.
Championships in the late 90s got a single card that's all theirs.
So we are out of time. We will revisit this next week probably with I'll bet you next week's episode will be cool brews with Stoneforge Mystic that we'll come up with. I want to build with lore skill.
I have so many lists on my list. If you go to the Patreon, I'm going to start posting lists there's a deck list section on our Discord for Patreon members. I just post deck lists there as much as I come up with them. For a while I haven't been because Hoogak was ruining my day, but now I have Stoneforge Mystic.
I just want to play Ice Quote.
You should see the piles of cards in my. I just want to I need Astrolabs. I need a bunch of Snowlands.
So the question is, where is the lighter?
It's right here.
The answer is, let's burn these things.
All right. I'm going to put this $2 bill that doesn't belong to me anymore in my wallet.
Let's get some fire emojis in the chat here, guys. Let's get some fire emojis.
Let's see fire. So to remind
See
people
lighters.
that were not here earlier and are here now, on Tappy Toe Claws, match game panel in Las Vegas this last weekend, I was brought up from the audience, and then I snuck onto the panel a little bit later, but was brought up from the audience and asked the question of something around the lines of, this Magic character just won a beauty contest. It was blank. And a bunch of people answered, and then Inkling Customs, thank you. Welcome to me not being able to remember anything, but her name is Jessica, which I do remember because I met her.
Sick.
Twitter handles are hard. Drew this as her answer. It was Hoogak. And I was declared at that point in the podcast or in the show that if it was banned, I'd have to burn this on the podcast. It was banned, so I have to burn this on the podcast. But little did we know, Faithless Looting would be joining it, and so the wonderful Tappy Toe Claws drew this Faithless Looting proxy that is adorable to also burn, and we'll be doing that. Wait. That is unsafe. I'm gonna stand up for this so that we can see it, and I'm gonna burn them together. Actually, why don't you hold the Hoogak? Hold it on the side like this. I'll show you how to do it.
There's no the audio. People aren't gonna be able to hear anything anymore.
What do you mean? There's no audio.
Well, on the mics anyway. We're not
On the mic.
speaking into microphones.
Chances Marshall doesn't edit that out as low. Actually, he'll probably do this because hopefully we burn the building down.
You have it on record here, folks. Hopefully we burn the building down.
All right.
Oh, I can feel the heat.
All right. Bye, Faithless Looting. We loved you. Oh, you didn't. Oh, no. You put the lid on top.
Bye, Hoogak.
No one loved you.
Oh, God. There's water all over this. You saw it here.
It was safe.
So, fun fact. We thought we were going to burn everything down.
The camera got tilted.
I tilted it down. Oh. We thought we were going to burn everything down, but instead I got everything a little covered in water.
And here we are. So, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the MM Cast. It's all falling apart. The building's being built down.
Good. Okay. Moving my mic down so people can see my face. Hi.
So thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will be back with a bunch of cool new Stoneforge stuff next week. A big shout out on my end. This Thursday night at 10:15 p.m. at the New York Comedy Club in the East Village, I will be performing live. Action Live is going to be there. Andrew Guy and myself will be playing a full set. I'll be playing 2 live songs. We do a bunch of stupid Nicolas Cage impressions. We're doing a full episode on the movie MacGruber. So get your tickets at NewYorkComedyClub.com. If you want to come see the show, I can send you a discount code. It'll be super fun. We'll be doing like a hangout afterwards and going out drinking and whatnot. It'll be a great time.
There's ash everywhere.
There's ash everywhere.
Big shout out to both Inkling Customs, which is at Inkling Customs, INKLINCUSTOMS, and Tappy Toe Claws at Tappy Toe Claw. Tappy Toe Claws. Cool. I did it. Cool. Sweet. For donating artwork to be destroyed on the show. And also just being awesome all at Magic Fest Vegas. You should follow both of them. They're great. Big thank you to our sister podcast, Command Zone. Big thank you to Sam for being our producer for today.
Thank you so much.
Awesome job. We hopefully didn't sound terrible, which I guess you guys will find out. And
So many fire emojis.
Ooh, thank you. Most importantly, all the people that both donate to the super chat, but also just joined us on the super chat. We heart all of you.
That was cool. That was cool to do that on the show for the first time. I think we were going to look into trying to be able to do this live more often because I like doing this live. This was fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do live show stuff. Yeah, we'll bring it back. We're figuring it out.
All right, guys.
This phone microphone thing that I figured out how to do, if we can figure out next level it, will be really good. Because then that was our biggest limitation for this was always like the microphone situation with
Yeah, the audio.
the audio was always hard. So we're trying to figure that out. Thank you guys. We'll talk to you guys on the next episode. Make sure to check out the audio, Patreon, all that good stuff. Follow us on Twitter. I'm at Kess Wiley.
I'm a Ben Baby
We
Media.
are at the MMCast. Sam, where can they find you?
At Strat_Sam on Twitter.
Cool. At Strat, STRAT _ Sam, SAM.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Then the recording does stop.
Yeah.
Or-
Cool. I need to go. I'm 20 minutes later than I thought.
We didn't